I understand homecoming week is a long week. I'm not going to lie and say it hadn't been a long week for me, too. So, first things first, before we even go into this math workshop, let's discuss that test from Tuesday. Because while I don't have everyone in here graded, I do have some graded. And there is a common thing that happened in first period. And I haven't done the inside pages of second period, but I'm afraid I'm going to run into this same issue.
Let me guess what it is first.
You can guess, yes.
They didn't define, describe.
They did worse than that.
They didn't write the domain and range.
They did worse than that.
They didn't do their work.
They just straight up
Left it blank.
left it blank.
Oh, I said that was common.
You insinuated that, yes. Ellie actually point blank said it, but she understands I'm going to hold that point. So, that's a very sad point to get. Yeah, so I thought when I graded the graphing inequalities, I understood some people were blind, so we all have our blind moments, and we just forgot to shade. So I let you fix that. And then, so I grade the back page first because it makes me feel better. The graphing inequalities, most people seem pretty good at that. And then I grade the first page just to get that piecewise look over with, just to go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off. So when I grade it, I assume you're going to miss the most points on the front page because it's the piecewise page. Like, that's what I thought. So there are 18 questions, so I'm really nice in that each one was 5 points each. So if you do 18 times 5, you only get 90. So Tylen got 10 points for being alive. So you should at least make a 10 out of 100. You can't make less than a 10 out of 100. It's not possible. For real. It's not possible. And in fact, I'm so nice. If each question's worth 5 points each, I only take off 3 or 4, depending on what you did. I at least give you 1 to 2 pity points for you tried to do math in math class. So at most, if Jax is really blind, I probably take off 3. Like, at 3 points. So he's at least getting 2 points per problem. So I had this kid who, so I'll remind you what the test looks like. There were 5 questions where you had to describe the function, like left 5, down 4, multiply, dilated, reflected. He left those 5 blank. So let's see. No, there were 4 of them. So 4 times 5 is 20. So he was already down 20 points. And then he stapled correctly, unlike this person. He left off the 3 at the bottom that were domain and range. He left those off too. So that's 15 more points. Well, 20 plus 15 is 35. And so 100 minus 35 is 65. So this boy is already at a 65, and that's not even looking at his work, pending he makes some mistakes and is perfect on all the other problems. Guess what? He wasn't perfect on all the other problems. He got more than the 5 points wrong, so that means he failed the test. But we can understand why he failed the test when I'm telling you he left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions completely blank, and they're 5 points each. So then I got there, and I said, who leaves a question blank on a test? I feel like 3 hands go up. I said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Never, ever, ever leave a question blank on a test. Guess something. Do something. Make me feel sorry for you in some way. Because if you leave it blank, I don't know. I don't know how to help you. I don't know what to do about it. You got to put something. And then I always told Nick this and geometry class this, and I assumed y'all knew the same thing. Even if you don't know what to do on a bonus, it's just a bonus. I mean, the worst is you can spend a couple minutes on it and not get any points. It's worth 5 extra points. You'll probably get a 1 from me for making a good solid try. So I don't understand skipping questions, and I don't understand skipping bonuses either. Yet that's what happened first period, and I'm afraid to look at the inside pages of second period. I'm afraid I'm going to see the same sort of thing, and it's going to hurt my feelings. But it really shouldn't hurt my feelings, because it doesn't seem like you didn't learn it. It just seems like you felt like skipping it. So that's on you, boo. That's on you. Okay, so if that speech made you nervous, or if you've not made up that test or whatever, that speech made you nervous, I haven't typed that in the 60% category yet, so it's coming. So Nick potentially could have a hit on his grade if he is the person I'm talking about. So he could get a bad grade on this test, which could therefore hurt his grade in the 8th week of the 9 weeks. So he's got to get it together. Next week is week 9. So there are 2 opportunities in the 60% category next week. Can you tell me when and what one of them is? Yes, dear. When is it?
Tuesday.
And his group eventually knew it, so you can get a point for that. There's a workshop test on Tuesday. On Monday, I'll be very specific about which ones to study. But if AJ, who remember that, is trying to get a head start, he should look over the 8 weeks worth of workshops he already has in his arms just to study this weekend. There is also going to be a test on just 3.1 on Tuesday as well. I know. Imagine that. The test is going to be on graphing, substitution, and elimination. We did graphing 2 days ago, substitution yesterday. We're doing elimination today. We'll go more into that in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and get these math workshops out of the way. Yep, got a volunteer for 13. Who is correct? Both are incorrect. You can have a point. I'm lazy. I should explain my reasoning using my words. But instead, I'm just going to circle where they went wrong. Where did Luna go wrong? Okay, so if we were going to write English out, we would say Luna distributed incorrectly. -6 times +4 should have been a -24. This term should have been -24A. So that's where Luna went wrong, and you can have a point for that. Where did Sophia go wrong? Yes, ma'am.
She has 56A minus 40B, but 6A is supposed to be 6B.
Okay, so she swapped her variables. So in her work, it should have been -6B, and she decided to put an A. It should have been a -24A, and she decided to put a B. So she swapped her variables. So if we were to write this out, we would say Luna distributed incorrectly. She made a sign error. Sophia also distributed incorrectly, and she swapped her variables. That is perfect. That is beautiful, and you can have a point for that page. Let's go to 14. Oh, man. It's going to be a doozy, but not really. We're going to take it one equation at a time. So let's deal with, I'm going to pick this line first. I'm going to color it pink. Let's deal with this pink line. Can I write an equation for this pink line? What is its intercept? Start there. What's its intercept? -6, and you get a point for that. Okay, now I need to know its slope. What is its slope? It is, because you went up 6 and then over 3. 6 over 3 is 2 over 1, so it's just going to be, we're just going to put 2. 2 over 1 is 2. Okay, and this is an inequality, so I'm not supposed to put a less than or equal to, greater than or equal to is what I'm supposed to put, not just an equal sign, but I'm lazy at the moment. I'm putting an equal sign. Should I change that equal sign to a greater than or equal to or a less than or equal to? Look at where the shading occurred. Greater than. I'm not sure who to give the point to, so I hold it in. Yeah, I should. I should give it to 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Any other group say it and I didn't hear you? Okay, cool. Okay, so we wrote an equation for this line. Now we're going to do the same thing with this line. I'm coloring it green. Where is its intercept? -6 as well. Paige gets another point. My gosh. Oh, Gilberto, you did? Okay, you can have a point too. And that leads me to, because Paige and Daniel and their groups respectively are stealing all the points. Someone said, well, what can I do to fix my grade? Well, 1, you got 2 more 60% category grades coming up, and 2, is your group participating? We do a participation grade, and I don't put a cap on it, so I think they're over 5, aren't you already? So Paige can keep on answering the rest of the class and end up with, I don't put a cap on it, as many points as she wants. So your group should at least get to a 5. My gosh, you can make over a perfect score in this participation grade each week, just from your group answering questions. Okay, so my intercept's at -6. I need to know the slope of this green line. And Daniel's correct. It should be -3 because it's leaning to the left. We went from -6 over to -2. We went up 6 and then left 2, so it's 6 over -2, which is -3. So -3, guys. Okay, and then look at the shading. Was the shading above the line or below the line? It was above. Tyler, you can have a point. So we're going to do greater than or equal to again. So we've written 2 equations. We've still got to deal with that third line. Let's do it in purple. Here's my third line. Where is its intercept? Every group can have a point. It is at 4. I need to know the slope of that line. It's also leaning to the left. It is it negative 2 or negative 1/2? I believe it's negative 1/2. Let's think about that. Negative 6. Whoa, what am I doing? At 4. I went from 4 down to 0 over to 8. So minus 4 over 8 is negative 4 over 8 is negative 1/2. He is correct. So Daniel, you get the point. Okay, and then we look at the shading, and it's shaded below. Tylen again. Shaded below, so we're going to do less than or equal to. Thank you, Ellie. You can have a point too. Okay, so technically we're done. Now, it might be nice if I put a bracket with it or something, but we're done. A system was just equations using the same variables. All 3 of our equations have y's and x's, so we're done here. And then the easiest question of the day, what shape did they make with that region? Every group can have a point. The rectangle group can lose the point. Joking. Every group can have a point. Okay, are there any questions about this one? If we take it one step at a time, it's really not that hard. Okay, go to your packet. Let's talk about all the things. While you're pulling it out, the 4 vocab terms you need to know are... Let Jack's finish. Independent, dependent. Okay, and Jack's got it all out eventually, so we're going to give Jack's point. Okay, and let's practice though. If my graph is just one line, one beautiful line, it is infinite, but what 2 vocab terms? Consistent and dependent. Dependent, because it wasn't special. Okay, let's see. If my 2 lines are parallel, they're inconsistent because there was no solution. Yes, Tylen, I heard you first. You'd have a point for that. If my 2 lines cross at one point, and that point is super special. Consistent and independent. I heard it loudest from Paige. But I also heard Gilberto. Good Lord, Jesus, words English, so he can get one too. Consistent and independent, because that spot is special. That's why it's independent. It's special. When we talked about that yesterday, that one spot is unique, whereas when it was infinitely many, there are lots of different points. So none of them are exactly unique. The way that particular point is very unique. That is their one spot where they meet. Okay, let's look at, so we've got graphing. Graphing seemed great. We talked about substitution. That seemed pretty good too. We're going to find out in just a few minutes because you have a checkpoint on graphing and substitution. Sorry. Some people showed me their workbook from yesterday, the page 29 and 30. It's great if you did. It's okay if you didn't. You would make my life easier if you just showed me when you have all 3. If you've already showed me the first 2, that's fine. Just show me the 3rd. Paige would really like for me to stop rambling so she could finish that 3rd assignment, take her checkpoint, and not have any homework this weekend. That would be her goal, is for me to ramble less and her get her work done faster so she doesn't have to do math this weekend. I get that. Okay. So let's look at number 1 of elimination. So, I know in math class you shouldn't have favorites. I get that. It's not very nice. But if I had a favorite, my favorite would be elimination. And here's why. No, I wasn't talking about y'all. I was talking about elimination. And here's why. Elimination is my favorite because it's the easiest to use when your equations are in standard form. When we were having to graph from standard form, we had to rearrange both equations, graph both lines. That took a little effort. With substitution, my gosh, we'd have to solve one of these equations for m or n and plug it in the other one for m or n, and there was a lot of work required. Elimination to me, when it's in standard form and I get to choose, sadly in life you don't always get to choose, but if I get to choose and they're in standard, I choose elimination. Okay, elimination, what does that word mean? You eliminate.
Get rid of.
Yeah, and we're going to get rid of, we're literally going to kill somebody off. Someone's going to die, and if someone doesn't die, we've done something wrong. That's eliminate. It sounds like someone dies. Someone has to die. Okay, so our goal is to pick a number, and we might multiply the top. We might have to pick a different number and multiply the bottom. Regardless, we're going to multiply the top, the bottom, maybe both, so that eventually a variable is eliminated. So we want it to be like negative 7m and positive 7m because then the m's would cancel out. Or we want it to be negative 2n and positive 2n because then the n's would cancel out. We're wanting to have the same number in front but different signs. That way one of them will die. Okay, so the easiest equation to multiply by on this one is the top one. What number can I multiply that top equation by in order to make the n's die? Ellie, you get a point. If I multiply the top by 2, I would have 2m minus 2n equals negative 18. That bottom equation, I'm not going to mess with him at all. I'm just going to write him again underneath. 7m plus 2n equals 9. Okay, with elimination, after you've done this step, it reminds me of when we just got to do addition, and life was so much fun. I'm just going to draw a line underneath. 2 plus 7 is 9, and the n's died. They were eliminated. If no one's eliminated, you've not done elimination wrong. So 2 plus 7 is 9m. Negative 18 plus 9 is negative 9. So m equals negative 1. My gosh, that was so much faster than substitution. So much faster. Now, it is kind of like substitution from here on out because Angel understands her answer needs to be an ordered pair. So just because she has a value for m doesn't mean she's done. She needs a value for n. So she can plug it in either equation or she can plug it in our new equation. Doesn't matter. I'll plug it in the top one. It used to be m minus n equals negative 9. We found out m was negative 1. I add 1 to both sides. I'll have negative n equals negative 8. I divide my negative 1. I get n equals positive 8. So my answer is what? Negative 1, 8. And God bless you. I think I forgot to say this yesterday. We're going to make a point about this today. I know Paige worked really hard to get that answer. But if she puts 8 comma negative 1 and she reverses it, I'm going to count off because Paige knows her alphabet. M comes before n. So m gets to be in the x coordinate spot. N gets to be in the y coordinate spot. You go in alphabetical order. You have to, or you will lose a point. Okay, we're going to come back to number 2. Number 2 is actually a little harder. We'll come back to it in just a second. Let's go to number, you're going to think I'm crazy, number 7. Let's go to 7. Okay, a point that I think is easy, but in the last period didn't get it. Which variable would be easiest to get rid of in number 7? The r's. Yes, agreed. What do I need to multiply the top by in order to make that happen? Okay, so, and we're about to talk about the mistakes that people make. So hold on, let's do this and we'll handle it. Negative 2r plus 3s equals negative 11. Every group could have a point for knowing the r. Yes, you didn't catch me. You could have had a point then, man. Okay. So I changed my signs. I'm negative, positive, negative now. Perfect. The r's do get eliminated. 3 plus 2 is 5, so I have 5s equals negative 5. So s equals negative 1. I have to go plug that back in to figure out what r is. I'm going to plug it in the bottom. Genuinely doesn't matter who you plug it into. It used to be 2r plus 2s equals 6. Now it's 2r plus 2 times negative 1 equals 6. Again, Paige can do some of this in her head. You don't have to write out everything. I'm just doing it for those who don't like to do things in their head. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2r equals 8. R equals 4. Again, alphabet order, so 4, negative 1. Okay, are there any questions about that one? Then let's be brave and go back to number 2. And then after we finish number 2, we're going to talk about the 2 most common mistakes. If Ellie's going to mess up, here are the 2 things Ellie's going to do wrong. Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2 is harder because we're going to have to multiply both lines. Because right now, there's not like a number I can multiply the bottom by in order to turn that 3 into a 2. You and I do not want to start doing some fraction mess. You and I are avoiding the fractions. I get it. So, and there's not really a number I can multiply the top by in order to turn, for instance, that 4 into a 6. So instead, we got to think things through. So, for instance, if Daniel wants to get rid of the x's, what's the next number that both 2 and 3 go into? 6. So I can multiply the top by 3, the bottom by -2. I'll end up with a positive 6x and a negative 6x, and the x's could go away. But that was too easy. Let's get rid of the y's instead. What number is the smallest number that both 4 and -6 go into? 12. We want to know what they divide into. So if we want 12, we need to multiply the top. Yeah, exactly. We need to multiply the top by 3. We need to multiply the bottom by 2. You're like, what? That way it'll be a 12y and a -12y, and they will be eliminated. So we might have to multiply both equations by different numbers. But again, our goal is for Kathy to eliminate. She's wanting a positive 12y, a negative 12y, and then they'll be canceled out. Okay, so if we distribute, we'll have 6x plus 12y equals 54. And if we distribute with the bottom, we'll have 6x minus 12y equals 6. Okay, so let's talk about the 2 mistakes Ellie might make, because she can make both of them in the same problem. What's the first, most obvious mistake that people will make with elimination? So, and I hear everyone saying some version of it, so you can add a point. You got the harder one. So, yes, the signs is an issue. The positive 12 and the negative 12, they do cancel out. But that's a positive 6 and a positive 6. They do not cancel out. I should end up with 12x. But you'll be amazed at how many people, even though they don't have different signs, are going to cancel the x's out. Don't ask me why, but they're going to. So you should end up with 12x equals 60, so x equals 5. But no, Ellie, that was her first mistake. She could have done that. But she also could have made a mistake earlier. I made sure she didn't because I did it myself. But what could she have done wrong at the very beginning of this problem? So when I drew those arrows, what was I doing? Okay, Ellie gets in a hurry because we all do. She does 2 times 3 and gets 6, 2 times negative 12, 2 times negative 6 gets negative 12, and she forgets to do 2 times 3 and she just writes 3. People forget to distribute. And they always forget on that third term. Don't know why. They always forget on that third term. So just like yesterday, math teachers are nice. For the most part, I think we are. For the most part, we end up with nice, pretty whole number solutions. -5, 1, 6, -4. So if you're ending up with like a 6.25, you should be concerned. Now, I'm not saying we never do those because that's a reasonable answer. But if it's going to be a decimal or something weird, I'm going to tell Tylen in advance. Like, hey, number 5, be prepared, it's decimal answers. Otherwise, assume whole numbers and you've done something wrong if you're not getting a whole number. Well, it's not technically a whole number, is it? It's technically an integer. Whole numbers are only positive. I'm going way back for that. Okay, moving on. In one and out the other. Okay, moving on. We got x equals 5. We got to plug it back in. Pick anybody you want. I'm going to pick the top just for fun. Doesn't matter. So 2x plus 4y, bless you, equals 18. 2 times 5 is 10. So 10 plus 4y equals 18. So 4y equals 8. So y equals 2. So my answer is 5, 2. And if we were to put our vocab terms with this answer, we would say consistent and independent because we got that one unique solution. And the reason I did that so fast is, one, Gilberto can do that and probably most in his head, which is fine. And two, once you get x equals or y, once you get one of the variables solved for, it's really like yesterday where you just pick one, plug it back in. Reminds me a lot of substitution in that way. Okay, so you and I have done 1, 2, and 7. And on 1, 2, and 7, we would have put the vocab terms consistent and independent. Don't you think we need to practice some examples with the other vocab terms? We need to see one that has no solution, and we need to see one that has infinitely many solutions. So let's go to number 3. On number 3, what should we multiply the top by? Negative 2?
Positive 2.
If you multiply by negative 2, you would have a negative 4x and a negative 4x, and they wouldn't cancel out. Okay, so I think positive 2. So let's go to number, I got to flip, Miss Compton, come on. Okay, so I'll multiply the top by 2. I get 4x minus 2y equals negative 8. And on the bottom, I have negative 4x plus 2y equals 6. What happens next? The y's are eliminated. And the x's are eliminated. If we don't have any numbers on the left, what number do we put? If we don't have any numbers on the left, 0. So we're going to have 0 equals something. What's negative 8 plus 6? Okay, does 0 equal negative 2? No. So when we end up with something crazy, we decided it was what? It's no solution, but what vocab term do we put? And consistent tiling, you get that other, oh my gosh, you got the vocab down. Get a point for that. Okay, so let's discuss it. If magic happens, kind of like with substitution, and your variables completely disappear, back to, does this statement make sense? It's 0 on the left because nobody else was left, so it had to be 0. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. 0 is not equal to negative 2. That's completely crazy. No solution. Okay, let's go to number 5. It'll be our last practice problem of the day. Number 5. What number should I multiply by, and who should I multiply by?
The bottom 1 and 2.
If I multiply the bottom by 2, I'll have 2t plus 4v equals 6.
It would be negative 2t and negative
I just wrote down the top line again.
4. Oh.
Okay.
I just wrote down the top line. I go in exact order. Okay, and then the bottom, it would be negative 2t minus 4v equals negative 6. I completely agree with you, girls. I write down the top one again and then write down the new bottom one. Okay, so Paige suggested we multiply the bottom by negative 2, and that's smart because I see 2t minus 2t, the t's cancel out. But what also happens? The v's cancel out. So there goes the 4 minus 4, they cancel out. So we end up with 0 equals
0.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so what words?
Indefinite.
Woo, indefinite. It's infinitely many solutions. Yes, but what two vocab terms mean infinitely? Consistent, and I heard independent. It's not independent. And dependent. Okay, independent was that one unique guy. When we have a bunch of guys, we have a line chock full of points, those are not unique. That's why it's dependent. So consistent and dependent. But yes, I guess that's infinitely many. I know that. But our whole point for this section, because I'm telling you part of it is vocab on this test, we've got to get the vocab terms associated with those things that you and I know. Okay, are there any questions about this? Again, I love elimination. I think it's way easier than substitution and easier than graphing. I would do it all day if I could. You have a third homework assignment now. So specifically on 10 and 11, you're supposed to use substitution. On 7, 8, 12, you're supposed to use elimination. I get now that Anne-Marie's seen it all. She wants to use elimination on everything, and I understand. But if it says use elimination, freaking use elimination. Okay, I don't know if you got your checkpoint yesterday or not. If you did not get a checkpoint, I'm going to move it to the podium. If you got it and you don't have it done and want me to check it, bring it to me. I've already had one person pass. Okay.